One life with the fellas.
One life with the fellas.
Ooh, one life with the fellas is about to come on, y'all.
Maybe it me, maybe it that, no. Maybe it did, maybe it white, maybe it black, no. Maybe it me, I'm from the mud, I'm from the mud. I got it all from the grid, taking the rig, taking the rig, taking the rig. Maybe it me, maybe it that, no. Maybe it did, maybe it white, maybe it black, no. Maybe it me, I'm from the mud, I'm from the mud. I got it all from the grid, taking the rig, taking the rig, taking the rig.
One night with the fellas.
Yo, what's good, fellas?
What up?
What's up?
All right, everybody good, man?
Yeah, man, I gotta get the camera right, man. I'm all jacked up.
Slide the other way. Yeah, right there.
All right.
All right. All right, everybody, we back, man. This the fellas again. Season 2, episode 2. Coming back as we told y'all before, man. So we won short today. Hopefully he may be able to come on. If not, we're gonna kind of push this thing moving on. If y'all saw our Facebook post today, we told y'all today we have a special guest. Hope y'all had a chance to Google him, just see what he about and everything that he does bring to the table. His name is Kenny Ward Jr. We're gonna bring him on in a second, man. So before we get into it, our topic for tonight is college for me, because we know we're coming around that time where our seniors in high school, even if you're not a senior or whatnot, need to start thinking about your life after high school. So we want to try to jump into those topics and just get some ideas of what that's about, man. So, but before we do it, man, we always try to jump into things that's kind of current. If you follow the NFL or not, there's one big looming story that's going on right now. The Miami Dolphins former head coach, who's a black coach, Brian Flores, has a class action lawsuit against the NFL, claiming that his and y'all can pick me up anywhere I may misstep on anything with this situation, but he's suing the NFL basically on the strength that his entire process of being hired and fired, was on the strength of racism. Just being treated unfairly and everything. So, what's y'all thoughts on that, man? The NFL has this thing called the Rooney Rule, where basically it just, how I look at it, I think it's just a way of just saying, hey, we will entertain you guys to sit down in a room, but it ain't guaranteed no hire. It's just a buffer to prevent them from being what they're currently in now. So, what y'all thoughts on it, man? I kind of just gave a glazed version of it, but
Man, first off, man, I think it's sad to say, but you kind of need something like that in place to make sure that these guys are at least getting looked at. And it's crazy because the NFL is predominantly black, but yet the coaches are 90% white. Most of them are white,
I think it's one black NFL coach right now.
Well, yeah, right now. Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right.
Right now, Steelers. That's it.
Which is ridiculous. So you can't tell me that all these dudes that have been playing ball for all these years, who are now coaching probably high school level games, college. They all over the place now trying to coach and get to the NFL level as far as coaching, and then nobody qualify. I also think a lot of coordinators. I think a lot of white coordinators move faster than black coordinators do, as far as the head coaching, which is ridiculous. But at the same time, though, in the Flores situation, I kind of think he kicked himself in his own butt, because if you look at that situation, he has not been shy talking bad about Tua. And if you look at other coaches, even Mike Tomlin, I don't know any other coach that throw their players under the bus like that. So to me, especially your number one draft pick, right? This is your first round pick. So that's the one thing that I think is kind of hurting him, is the fact that he's a coach and he's disruptive. It's one thing to be a player and disruptive, but if you're a coach and disruptive, I think that's a different story. I think that's a different thing you look at, because you can't be talking down on the people that they are trying to build a team around. So if I got this number one pick, it's going to make other people not want to come here if you're talking down on the guys we're trying to build around. So,
yeah, it was also something else in that lawsuit that's been in the news as well. Is I think he interviewed for
the Giants
head coach's job, and Bill Belichick texted him prior to him even going to take the interview that he had been selected, right? But there was they selected a different Brian for the job.
Yeah.
Right. So it's kind of like, it's a predetermined notion who's got the job. However, to satisfy your Rooney Rule, you have to bring in a black coach and have them looked at, even though you're not going to offer them the job. Right. One thing that was looked at as well is his qualifications versus the other guy's qualifications. Right. It's like if you put one resume beside the next resume with no names on it, which candidate, with no name, no faces, right? Which candidate would you hire? So the issue, I mean, it's a big issue, but there's a larger issue at play when we talk about not only head coaches in the NFL, we also have to look at NFL ownership, right? So if you look at just ownership in itself, which are the men at the top, like they say, sitting in the skyboxes, looking down on their players, right? Like I own all of this. I own this building. I own this stadium. And I own these players on the field because I write their paycheck. So there's only like maybe one minority NFL owner, right? And then it's one situation with the Green Bay Packers with them being owned by being publicly traded, right? So they're owned by, people can buy stock in that particular team and have a piece of ownership, right? But we can say that, but we all know somebody has a majority stake in that team still, right? So somebody owns 51% of that team, even though they're letting somebody else buy up the other 49% of that team.
Yeah, I think just kind of add on to everything y'all saying, man. My problem I have with it is, to the point you just touched on, Murray, with that the disparity with the numbers and race. Like, we make up 70% of the NFL. So it's like black players, 70%. And you have nobody as a head coach that looks like them. For me, it's a direct pipeline. Again, coming from the school standpoint and stuff, you can have a high school majority African-American students, and you hire on a slew full of new teachers for the upcoming year. You probably got like 3 of them that look like the majority of your population in your school. So, it's going to be, you're not going to be able to reach them. You're not going because you don't know them for real. So you got like a bunch of people there who can't keep them in line as they need to and everything in that sort. And I get what you're saying too, Demeric, about, kind of coming at the number 1 draft pick and everything like that. But we all know, we have seen white coaches come out there and chew people out, first draft picks and everything like that. Nothing be held against them in that sort. So my thing is like I said, I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying, because I understand, that's always going to be a slippery slope. You know what I'm saying? When you're coming at, basically, like I said, the future of your organization, or potential future of your organization. And to that point, I think we also have to keep in mind, for us as black athletes, black coaches, black anything, a lot of times when we step in the room, we already got 2 strikes and a half against us. Yeah. So anything that we say and do is going to be chastised 10 times harder. And I think the one thing I like about it, and this is my last point with it, is that I think he's understanding that he's sacrificing his career for this thing, because he knows, as much as we're trying to push and everything like that, this is a wrap. He ain't getting a chance back in the NFL at all, coordinator, anything. And but as long as like you've been a sacrificial lamb for, where you basically, at least at the end of the day, you're getting people to revisit this Rooney Rule that's been there since, I think, 2003. And if you put something in place in 2003, if you only had Mike Tomlin, who's had the longevity of a coach for his position, as was a black coach in the NFL, and you had all these other jobs open up and they are continuously getting overlooked, for someone what he's doing right now, all the stuff with Belichick and getting text messages prior to him even coming in for the interview to my congratulations, but it was for Brian Daboll. So, little stuff like that, man, all those little minor details. I think that's for him. At least we're getting people. And I think for what we have to understand, and what we want to change, sometimes you got to sacrifice and just put your whole situation out there. It may not be exactly what's going to benefit you right now, but it can benefit those that's coming up behind you that can step in. And now we have more people to have more opportunities in a position that we're well deserving, just as anybody else too as well. So,
right.
Oh, real quick, can you name another coach that has threw their players under the bus and not just said, yeah, we had a bad game, we threw some interception here, threw an interception there, but specifically say, I wish we had another player instead of you.
Yeah, but you.
No, you can't.
who made the decision?
The first coach comes to my mind is Bill Parcells, because he was one that never held his tongue back about anything.
So you've seen him say that in an interview about another player.
But who traded to get Deshaun Watson?
Who traded to get him?
Who traded to get him? Did Brian Flores do that? He's not a GM.
No, he didn't.
so he's not the only person in that organization that then or don't like Tua, right? But is he the only person that doesn't have a job right now?
No, but so what I'm saying is, I know we gotta get off this subject, right? Yeah. So what I'm saying is, yes, there's no one coming out and saying publicly, I don't like this guy. He messing up all the time. He doing this, doing that, like just railroading him. Ain't nobody else doing that. That's what I'm saying. Publicly. It's one thing to make a trade. Trades happen all the time. They just look at that as business in the NFL. You get traded all the time. Who wouldn't want somebody like Deshaun Watson on their team to happen as far as the talent level? I think even when Tua was at Alabama, I mean, shoot, you saw it his senior year, man. Of course he did good when he stepped in for that one game, but when it was all on him, man, they saw that he couldn't read defenses. Clemson had about 5 picks in that game.
Also, we talked about it as well when we talked about Bruce Arian. There are different type of coaches, different styles of coaching out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That is not the same, and I don't know if he was using it as a motivation tool for him or not, but it could have been that. I put that on the table as well.
Yeah, you're right. I give you that.
Yeah, because you got to think one thing he has been on record the whole thing, like the way he's built. He's not built in a way of accepting money to lose. He came in trying to change the culture, man. So if he's coming in holding you accountable for that. And it may not be the way that's liked by the general public or the majority of the population, but he said from who he is. And I'm quite sure they knew that when they hired him.
Yeah.
My thing is don't try to use that as like an scapegoat to try to use that against him now to get him out the door. That was my issue with it.
Exactly.
So let's table it real quick, man, because we can have a whole show of that thing, dog. Especially Black History Month too. Come on with it.
Let's go.
Right.
So yeah, man, let's go ahead and bring in our guest, man. We got Mr. Kenny Ward Jr., man. Let's go ahead and bring him in real quick.
Let me get him up. All right. Mr. Kenny, still there?
I'm here.
All right, man. Welcome on, sir. How you doing tonight?
I am well. Thank you all for having me.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We appreciate you devoting the time out your busy schedule, man. We saw you shared the post and everything, so I take it we got approval of the picture and the post that we had on there and everything. So that was solid. So we was good to go.
Right.
Yeah. So without further ado, man, let's go ahead and let the people know who you are, what you do and everything, and then we'll dive right into the topic at hand.
Okay. I am, as he already stated, I'm Kenny Ward. I'm here in Montgomery. I work as the division chair of the business and CIS here at Trentham State Community College. I also oversee the business programs. I'm an instructor. I'm heading up the entrepreneurship, management, general business, and accounting department right now. So I'm here trying to help students get their 2-year associate's degree, and for some of them, their short-term certificate.
Okay. Do you have like a business of yours and or anything else that you do? You know what I'm saying? That you probably want to highlight tonight or anything in particular? Because we always try to do that every episode as well too. So there's a time to shine even more if you want to, man.
Hey, let me shine for Trenton State.
Okay.
The business program, we are growing so much with the new programs, especially our entrepreneurship and general business program is growing so quick. So I definitely want to put that spotlight on Trenton on tonight. So if you're in the River Region area here in Montgomery, matter of fact, we have some classes that you can take online. So if you're just looking to take some classes, whether it's QuickBooks or you trying to learn how to do taxes on the side, Trenton business program, we're here.
Hey, if you want to show your supervisor, anybody like that, this thing out the day, we need to edit this certain part of the show. Get your nice little raise or some little days off of pay or something like that. Y'all help that man out over there, Toronto. Just put y'all on the map a little bit more. Yeah, so we definitely appreciate that, man. One of our followers now, she said her son just started back to finish up his last 2 semesters in HVAC. So that's pretty dope, man. It's actually one of my former students, so that's what's up, B. Keep going to that thing, man. So yeah, we want to dive into it. We ain't gonna hold it too much longer. Again, we know everybody's time is of essence and everything. So tonight, as we talked about it, as far as like it's college for me, and so I think the first question I should ask is, since you're in the seat of seeing kids coming out of high school and everything. For those that don't know, if I'm not mistaken, Trenton is considered a HBCU, if I'm not correct.
It is. It's
Right,
HBCU.
So, Trenton has come a very long way as far as the transformations that it started out, in Montgomery and everything, and currently where it stands today. And so, my question is, college, why? And I hope your comments don't be nothing to take away from the raise that you may potentially get or put Trenton.
No, never.
But we have to be realistic with our followers and people that we know, especially that look like us too. So I know my experience dealing with Trenton, y'all always have been straight up forward with people for giving them the best options for themselves. So why should people go to college?
Well, I tell students when they come to my office, first thing I want to know is this something that you want to do? I've had students to come in and say, this is what my parents want me to do. If it's something that your parents want you to do and you don't want to do it, you're not going to put your best foot forward. So that's one of the first thing I ask them before you spend this money, take out loans. Is this something that you want to do? Because if it's not, you're not going to want to be motivated. I do encourage students. I am an advocate for college, but I also understand that college may not be for everyone. Someone may not want to go through that. They may just want to go to, get a job or, do something else on the side. And I understand that, but I try to encourage those who can, even if it's just picking up the skill, like one of your viewers said a minute ago, the HVACs, coming through there. We have the child human development. We have all of those. Maybe you just want to own a child daycare. We have those systems put in place to help you get what you need, the educational background, even if you're not trying to further your education to the university.
What have you seen? My thing has always been about exposure, right? So how does Trenton expose those things that you just mentioned to parents and kids, who have some kids that's coming out of high school, whether it's this year or within, next year or so? How do y'all expose these opportunities to the families?
The biggest thing is getting in the community, talking with them, going to churches, going into the high school. When I was a first generational college student, so when I came along, had it not been for a program such as the Upward Bound program, if you're familiar with that, or TRIO, those were the programs that helped me because my parents did not go to college. So I needed someone to come along and say, hey, this is what you need to do. This is how it works. I remember when they first told me that I was taking 12 hours, I didn't know nothing about college. I'm thinking I'm doing 12 hours a day. That and you have students that think that. And it's just because they don't know. So you need to have individuals that will come along and will help them and will take them through the process of getting started. That's when you need those caring teachers, those caring advisors, those caring instructors to help where they can and help people move along.
Hey, fellas, he touched on something I think is very important. He mentioned the Upward Bound and trio programs and anything like that.
Yeah, I remember.
Did y'all partake in anything like that in high school, or coming in thinking about when you thought about the concept of maybe going to college or anything? Did y'all? You did?
I actually participated in Upward Bound when I was in high school as well. So yeah, that was real key, and just just telling you what college was, because you got to think, man, it's places or schools out there with like we always say, people who look like us. There are people just showing up every day to get that paycheck and giving you a half-rate education, right? And they're not telling you about what you should be thinking about doing next in life. So they're not setting you up to succeed in your future. So yeah, that was one of the programs that kind of brought to knowledge of potential going to college. Also, one benefit I had for me in high school was we had Air Force Junior ROTC as well. So that was real key as well. But even with that program, that was somebody who was motivating and pushing me, but that wasn't somebody who necessarily looked like me. You know what I mean? But that was somebody, like Kenny mentioned, somebody who cared, who wanted to see other people do better.
What about you, Demir? Did our alma mater provide anything like that to you?
No, I was interested in school at first, but the closer I got, I was no longer interested. I always saw myself in the military, so that's the route that I took. I didn't look into Upward Bound. I didn't know anything about Upward Bound. Never heard of it. I wasn't provided a lot of opportunities. No one really talked to me about college, but with the exception of, hey, do you want to go to college or not?
Yeah,
legit. I really wasn't giving any advice about college at all. So,
man, I know for me, Upward Bound did not exist, especially in my household. Put it that way.
yeah.
Of course, I knew about college because I had an older sister of mine who, went to school, before I got a chance to go there and everything. And my the few memories I had of that was when she did come home. She was talking about she gonna go out club and have some fun, smoke. So I'm like, all right. So I know college gonna be fun on that extent. You know what I'm saying? So, but outside of that, man, I just didn't have anything that kind of like equipped me to have an idea of what that looked like. And I know with my students that I currently teach down here now in Oklahoma, man, I share not all my stories, but a good portion of my stories from in particular. Yeah, we're gonna do that, Dave. In particular, my freshman year in college, because like I told them, I said, for me, my biggest challenge was time management. And it's crazy because when I was in high school, in particular with my senior year or last couple of years, I've said throughout high school period, and y'all can chime in as far as like, what may have been some things of Kenny, some things you've seen have been the biggest challenges of students when they come into college. But I know for me, it was time management. Like I said, the reason why it was crazy was because I was heavily involved while I was in high school. So my time was always occupied. And my schoolwork always stayed with the par as well, too. But when I got to college, it was like, dang, all right, like I'm done with class. I'm done with my work. So what do I do now?
Yeah.
I hear my mom in my ear, or just the fear of, what I'm saying, that like, if I don't do it, she catch me not doing something, what I'm saying, she gonna have these hands over something like that, you know what I'm saying? So it was like, bruh, I'm gonna go kick it, you know what I'm saying? And that got me in trouble my freshman year. I almost went back to the house, but by the grace of God.
I tell you what kind of go along with that, man, that I hear so much when people say, well, you should go to college at least for the experience.
Hey, I had that.
That's an expensive experience.
Right. Hey, I go to Disney where I wanted an experience.
Let's go to Disney World.
Right. Hey, I see you coming, man. He's who is this? Is it CJ Sparks? That said,
Yeah.
I wanted to go to Hillman. different world exposed them to HBCU experience. So like that's real though, man. You know what I'm saying?
That is good
Reality.
because we've seen shows like that kind of introduced us to the college experience and gave
Right.
us that insight of wanting to go to college through a different world in the Cosby Show, and we seen different ones going off to college. So
That's true, man. So so Kendall, like what's been the biggest obstacle, I guess, I think you've seen, in particular from African American students coming into college?
The ones I've seen some that come and they want to come, but they don't think, how do I put this, that they fit the standards of college. I'll put it that way. They don't think they have what it takes to do college. And those are the students that you have to motivate. You really have to. I tell people I'm more than an instructor. I'm a life coach. I'm a dad. I'm all of this to students that come in, because a lot of times these are things that they're missing in their life. You got to be the motivator. You got to be the coach. So if you're just coming into this just to teach, you're in the wrong field, because you have to care enough and see the potential in them to push them to keep going. And I think sometimes that's the hardest part. And I see students that come in and, they have a life. They have stuff that's going on, and some of them have to drop out because of what's going on. I try my best to keep in contact with them and encourage them to come back to school. I remember my first semester teaching, one of my students, he was a prize student. It was coming to class. He ended up getting someone pregnant. And so he had to drop out, go get a full-time job to start, taking care of the family. So you look at those situations like that occurs, especially in our community.
Y'all want to hit that comment real quick, or Demaric, you had a comment that you want to say? Because you feel like
you seem like a little bit right? Because I know going to the schools I went to, ain't no professor really checking on me. I probably had one that actually a black professor. It was crazy because most people disliked him because he was so hard on people. But he was the one that pulled me to the side. And he's like, "Hey man, you're doing great in class." He wanted me to work with him on some stuff. But a lot of times it seemed like, I don't know if it's just bigger universities or not, but a lot of them don't really check on you like that. So I wanted to just smaller universities or smaller campuses, you're allowed to have more time to, check on your students or whatnot. Is that, what do you think? Is that because of the university side?
I would agree. Especially with your larger universities, you're just another number coming into the classroom, especially when you have auditorium, 100-some students taking a new class, intro to college class or something. You're another number coming in. So if you don't show up to class, that's on you. But when you get to a smaller college like Trenum, where it's more of an intimate one-on-one, pretty much, where I can have that relationship with you, I notice when you're not in class. I notice when you're coming in late. I notice when you start slacking. You're not just another number in my classrooms.
I like that. It's another plug for Trenum. That's why you should, look to attend this great institution out of high school, man. And I'll be real with you, but I think that's a big difference too when you're talking about the questions of HBCU versus PWI. Of course, I didn't go to HBCU, of course, but I have friends and close friends of mine who are graduates of HBCUs, and that's the biggest thing that I can get from every friend I've had that attend all. I'm talking about HBCUs, not just in Alabama, but just across the country. That's the same parallel conversation. When they talk about the experience, they talk about the culture. They're like, "Hey, our teachers, they take care of us. They stay on top of us because they not, of course they value education, but they also understand that, hey, you're a black man, you're a black woman, and when we put you out into this world, when we put you out into this world with this degree that you have, not only you're going to be questioned because you're a black man or you're a black woman, but they're going to question where you come from because you come from HBCU. So that very I guess personal and authentic relationship. I've always heard that is always the case at HBCUs, and that's a good thing that Trenton does provide an opportunity for those students that you guys serve and have. I saw one comment on here. One of the young ladies, she said that her son says now, no, traditional college is not for everyone. They do like how some high schools have computer science, finance classes, robotic, etc. It helps students get an idea of what they really want to do, and then either progress to a 2-year like Trenton or a 4-year. I also like dual enrollment program. The only reason my son couldn't swing that is because with private schools, the kids have to find their own way to college. And I think the public schools help get you there, and that was something I could not swing with work. And that's another conversation, man, in itself. Like we kind of touched on the Brian Flores situation earlier, but I have my own personal beliefs as to why when our kids go to private schools, why we have to find it on our own. And because not everybody has to find no colleges on their own. Private schools, it's a business when it's in K through 12. So they go to pub, we have this graduates from these schools, they're going to put who they want to at the front as the face of their private institutions. That's my personal take on. I ain't gonna get on the soapbox on that. But I know what she's speaking on is true. You know what I'm saying?
I think one thing that important to highlight too is I don't want it to be overlooked because we said a lot of stuff in that last conversation with what Kenny said and with what you said to Marcus. That's something to really think about when as a potential graduating senior or junior or parents when you're sitting down talking to your kids. Know your child, know yourself. So when you're going to look at what institution that you're going to pursue your degree in, or if you plan on going to college, know what situation you're potentially getting yourself in. So like Kenny said, if you're someone who's self-motivated, you're not going to need no extra motivation. You're going to be driven to go to class, then you may not need as much hand holding. So you may be able to go to an institution where a larger institution where you're not going to get that one-on-one. You're not going to have someone there who cares for you. But if you know you're not sure what you want to do, you think college is something for you, but you may need extra motivation. You may need somebody to check on you to see how you're doing. If you don't have that strong support system at home, you may want to go to a smaller institution where you can make that connection with someone that's going to help pull you up when you don't feel like going to class, right? Who's going to check on you, say, hey, I noticed you went in class last week. Is everything okay? Like, do you have some issues going on that I can potentially get you some help with so that you can finish and pursue this degree, which you're here for? Because I want to see you do better. I want to see you succeed. So just keep that. I don't want that to get passed up. So I want to highlight that. So when we're going back to talk to our kids, or if any kids are watching, we say, like, know yourself, right? Before you put yourself in a certain situation.
Yeah, I mean, there's another comment too that was on there. I think by Yapin. She said she experienced a difference in her HBCU experience and PWI. And it was more nurturing at the HBCU. And so I think, going to your point, David, man, even if you have a kid that comes there and they're trying to find their way, to have that nurturing component, it gives you a level of comfort where, like, all right, man, there's some people in here who see something in me that I ain't even see coming onto this campus, trying to figure it out. But shoot, Mr. Ward, he ain't let me breathe right now. You know what I'm saying? So let me not disappoint this dude, because I think that's what you talked about earlier. You come into being, Uncle Kenny, or Daddy or something like that, or anything like that, because it's something they didn't have coming in. And I bet you could really attest to that, like, because you mentioned earlier, you was the first generation, college graduate or attendee of your family and everything. So that is a huge thing, right? When we're talking about our households for our Black kids and families, which leads me to another point I wanted to kind of touch on, man. So I think when you have the kids now, this generation is a show me generation. Everything we saying right now, it sounds all good and grand. They like, all right, so what that mean though? And because now, they live in a generation where they can go and Google and research some things. So, we had a stat, man, that according to the Washington Post, only 27% of college graduates major matches their jobs. So you have a number out there like that. How can you kind of debunk a number of that sort, and kind of still encourage them to let them know, hey, all right, we get it, but this still could be something for you.
I think with that goes back to the statement that the young lady made a minute ago about in high school having those programs to give students exposure to the different areas so you can find what you like. We do have another group of students who say, well, I want to come to college. I just don't know what I want to come to college for. I'm trying to find my way. And so some of them go ahead and declare a major, graduate. I've had friends to go and get a master's and then decide this is not what I want to do. I want to do something else. So it's good to do your research, especially parents. If you are listening to me, go ahead and start exposing your kids to these different areas to find out those areas that they are passionate about, those areas that they are, they're pursuing. And I wanted to say something else, and we'll come back to that. With the 2-year college, just 2-year college in general, compared to the university, there's something that's known as a general education at the 2-year college. And so with that gives you an opportunity to still take those core courses that you would take at the university as well. You're taking those classes, I know here in Montgomery, for 1/3 of what you would pay at the university. Those classes still transfer to the university. So parents, if you could save money, I know your child may be ready to go to the university, especially if you're paying out of pocket. You can save money by paying 1/3 for the same class that you're going to have to take at the university.
Yeah.
Allow your student, to go ahead, your child to go ahead and take those classes at the community college, since you know that they're going to transfer to the university and they won't have to retake those classes. So that gives them, again, an opportunity to mature and to decide exactly what they want to do. When I first started school, I said I was going for math. I wanted to do math. And I went all the way up. I said I wanted to teach math in the high school. This is what I wanted to do. They let me teach a summer math course. And I said, this is not what I want to do. And I had went all the way to, what was it? Forgot what math that was I was taking. It was the what is that math? I went to the second level, made an A. I only had like three more math classes, I think, outside of the other courses. And I decided to change and go into business. And even though I went into business, did accounting for a couple of years, I decided, hey, you know what? I think I really do want to teach. And I ended up going back to teaching. Now I'm just teaching the business side of it. So,
Right.
It's trial and error. You're going to have to find your way, find exactly what you want to do in life, but try to find it as quick as you can before you put all that money into a degree that's not going to. Yeah.
That's the hardest thing now. So how do you find exposure? So I know when I was in high school, I went through, I thought I was going to be a nurse at one point. So they had a nursing program at the school at the time. So I kind of went through that. But for a lot of these kids who want to be engineers or what did my son say he wanted? My son wanted to be a dietitian. So, outside of like knowing somebody, how else do you get the exposure to those people or programs that'll do that?
Again, I go back. Now I don't know about other programs, but our TRIO program, our Overbound program, they gave us the opportunity to go out in the industry. We had opportunities to shadow individuals and find out what is their job like. As parents, you can go in if you know your child maybe want to be a dietitian, see if they'll allow your child to come in one day just to shadow them and find out what their job is all about. I wanted to be a doctor at one point too, until I realized I would have to see a bunch of blood, and I knew I couldn't handle all that. Now the money sound good, but I knew I couldn't handle the other side of it. And a lot of times, and I know Mr. Murray was talking about this earlier today, a lot of times students go in looking at the money side of it.
Yes.
I can make this amount of money if I do this. But if this is not something that you want to do, you're going to be miserable. So, but if you can find something that you like, the money will come. Trust me, the money will come if you find something that you really like to do.
You touched on something, man. And I hope everybody caught that. That man said you can go to his institution or something similar to that nature, whether it's in Alabama or in your various states. You know, we got people that follow us, notice they're in different parts of the country and everything. You know, where you can take those same classes out of high school for a third. You know, and I tell my students now, if there was anything I could change, I would have changed that coming out of high school. I probably would have went to Southern Union here in Opelika, just to, you know, get those, like I said, those general education components out the way, and then transfer over to do whatever I need to do after the fact. But I wasn't exposed to be in that context then, so it's back to that again as well too. Which kind of leads me to another question I want to ask you, man, because it's crazy when we was, you know, prior to the show, we were just kind of just brainstorming with each other and everything, make sure we're covering all the bases what we want to talk about. And kind of, you know, I did what I do. I teach at the alternative school down here in Opelika. And one of the classes that I teach is like a career prep or ready to work class. And I got a couple of cats in there, man. They ninth graders. You know, all they know right now, and it's crazy. We was part of our conversation today was talking about one of the local dope boys in Opelika. They asked me, and it's crazy. They asked me that I know him. Hey man, you know so and so. Like, what y'all know about it? That's like y'all so, you know, y'all so legit. This is he was running the thing when I was your age, but it let me know, you know, what they're exposed to. So we had a conversation today in class, man, kind of what we're talking about now, and one of the things came up. You know, I want to be an entrepreneur. I said, all right, what does that look like? So he gave me the idea, you know, he wanted to sell clothes and all this stuff. He asked me if he get his clothing line, would I wear it? I said, well, it depends on what it looked like. I said, I'll tell you what, never mind, forget that. I said, I know from you how you talk, I probably would not wear it. I said, but I still buy it. You know what I'm saying? And the other little homie was like, yeah, man, he said, that dope, Mr. Miller, because you know what I'm saying? You just try to put some money in his pocket. I said, yeah. I said, I'll promote it, make a Facebook post about it, anything like that, and get some more people to chime in and try to help your business out. But what is your take, man, when you got so many kids now? Because this is a generation too, man. It's like a copycat generation. If one person does it, everybody gonna take off and do the same thing too. Because you know they have things now. That's like a career. It's called being an influencer. Like I told the students today, that ain't nothing but a glorified person. That's peer pressure. That's all it is. It's glorified peer pressure because they just sitting in front of a screen, influencing you to do what they do all day long. And so now you got kids that come and go and do the exact same thing. So what's your take, man, with this whole concept about entrepreneurship? Like, what does that mean?
Entrepreneurship, that's one of my babies. I love entrepreneurship. That's why I took on the program here at Trinum about entrepreneurship. And I love to see students come in with their ideas. Now, this is the misconception. A lot of people think that they want to do entrepreneurship because they don't want to have to answer to someone.
That's it.
They don't want to clock in.
I want to be my own boss.
Yeah, right. I want to be my own boss. They don't want to clock in. They don't want to clock out. They want to get up when they want to get up, go when they want to go. But with entrepreneurship, the average person works 40 hours a week. As an entrepreneur, you can automatically double that.
Right.
You're up all times of night, especially when you're starting out. I tell my students, it's almost like you just gave birth to a baby. And you know how a baby is when you have a newborn baby, you up all times of night trying to make sure. It's the same thing with entrepreneurship. Because if you don't nurture this dream, this business, no one else is going to come in and make you nurture this dream or this business. So a lot of people say, well, Mr. Ward, I'm coming to college because I want to do entrepreneurship. Come on. I want to get you in the class because I want you to find out what it's really about to be an entrepreneur. It's not just that glorified image that you see on social media where people say I'm an entrepreneur and they flash the money, but I need to see what you're doing behind the scenes when you're up at 2:00 trying to get clothes for the boutique and you're trying to make orders over to China and make sure everything arrives on time because you got a customer that needs something by Saturday. All of that is involved with entrepreneurship. And you go back, you were talking about the influencers and the content creators. That's what people want to do nowadays. I want to be a content creator. Well, do you know how much time they put into those videos, cutting, editing, all of that just to post and get a couple of likes? And not all videos go viral.
For a minute and 30-second video. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's crazy.
So that's part. Now, I do believe in entrepreneurship. It's a great tool. I have some students that's in the program now with some great ideas of things that they want to bring here, even to Alabama. But again, you got to have that motivation and drive. And a lot of people say, well, if I'm doing entrepreneurship, do I really need to go to college? Do I need to go to college if I'm doing entrepreneurship? I put it to you this way. If I can learn the lesson from someone else can tell me that when you get to the second year, there's going to be a hole in the road. And if you don't watch, you'll fall in there. This is what you need to do to make sure that you don't fall in that hole, to get the foundational principles. I'd rather learn from your experience than to have to go down there and fall in that hole.
That's right.
So that's what it's about, bringing you in to get the basic foundational principles so to help you understand, but you still going to have to get the real life experience. You still going to have to get some bruises, some scrapes, and some bumps in that entrepreneurship.
Yeah, just to piggyback off that, if you want to look at, the flip side of things, even the richest people sending their kids to college, right? Even if you're just going to graduate and come work in the family's business, we need you to go to college. So when you come here, you know what you're doing, or you're bringing back what's new in the world that I didn't learn when I went to school, right? So it's a wheel that keeps turning, right? So you want to go to school to gain that knowledge, right? To see what's going on in the world, so you can bring back and make a business that is already successful more successful. So, and like Kenny said, it's all about setting yourself up for success. You have to put those, you have to invest in that if you want your business to succeed, or if you want your idea to succeed of being an entrepreneur.
So let me ask David and Kenny. I know what you know. I know you know what I'm talking about with this question here. But David and Demeric, are y'all familiar with the Ready to Work program that's in high schools? Dave, you may not because you've been in Georgia the last few years, but are you familiar with any program that's similar like that in Georgia? Or Demeric, are you familiar with anything like that?
No.
Okay, so of us three here, we got two guys who are parents, Kenny, and one in particular resides in Alabama, but are not aware of the Ready to Work program. That's key. Because we just represented, truthfully now, that question and their response, it just represented probably a larger population of our families who are not aware of the Ready to Work program. So, Kenny, could you kind of explain that a little bit further in detail and how that thing is a benefit, and it could probably tie into whether you've been a potential entrepreneur as well?
It is. It sounds ready.
Yeah.
To work. Getting you ready to work, making sure that you are equipped with the tools that you need so that you can be successful to work. That is the Ready to Work, just like it sounds, Ready to Work program. And you probably know a little bit more since you work in that field more than I do, but that's what it's about, making sure that students are ready to go to the industry and work.
And even elaborate a little bit more on it, it does bridge the gaps of, like one of our followers mentioned about their son taking HVAC, and taking up that trade. So it basically, man, it takes away from those big jobs that we think about when we're talking about going to college. Like we say, we need electricians, we need plumbers, we need those that work with air conditioners and everything like that, but they're not put in front of us. And so that Ready to Work program, it does introduce our kids to those type of jobs and trades, where you can come out making just as much money as a person who was out there going to be in school for a doctor and not even go to school as long as they are. You know what I mean? Like I got a student in my class now. His dad has his own welding business or something like that, and he's like, I want to take that up when I get out of high school and kind of just have my own business up under the same umbrella. I said, okay, cool. What you doing for it now to get ready for it? I don't know. I said, no, that ain't gonna work, boss. Because Pop's gonna cut you off real quick. You coming up with this day trying to mess up his business. So I think it's an essential program because everybody is not cut out, to be an accountant, or be a teacher or whatever it may need to be. But we need to push those jobs, man, that for whatever reason may not seem to be the popular ones, but they are necessities. And there are schools, there are programs in the schools that expose our kids to that. So to all of us that's watching the show tonight, ask your child, do they have some type of program at your school that's similar to what Mr. Milner and all them talking about on that show tonight? Or Google it. You know what I'm saying?
Ready to work.
Yeah, it's there.
I like that. I like that comment.
Go ahead, Demir.
Yeah.
So I like that comment. Paid knowledge hurts the payer, but educates the net. So
Yeah,
I like that.
And
that's true.
I could say something since you was talking about that, is when you was talking about talking with your child, that goes back to dual enrollments. A lot of parents who have not gone to college, they don't know what dual enrollment is.
None.
Dual enrollment is an opportunity for you to take college level courses while you're still in high school as well. Matter of fact, when I was teaching at Enterprise before coming to Trenton, we had a whole dual enrollment program in accounting where students were graduating from high school and also graduating with their associate's degree in accounting as well. So they already had a leg up when they went to the university. Those 2 years of college was already complete. So when you leave, you only got 2 more years at the university to complete your core courses in whatever degree you. But our community, how do I say that? I want to be nice.
Come on now.
we can edit it out.
We have this mentality sometimes where I got mine, you get yours.
Yeah,
You don't
I ain't heard that
educate
in a while.
others in the community about the opportunities that are available. So this is where we got to get out in the community and start talking. I talked to a parent the other day about dual enrollment, and she was like, "What is that?" And a lot of these programs, you could take these dual enrollment classes through grants and stuff with the school and not have to pay a dime out of your pocket. So that means that the first 2 years for your child has just been paid for. At Enterprise, they weren't paying the first 2 years for that dual enrollment. All their classes were covered.
Yeah, man, that's dope, man. And like I said, I know for a fact a lot of our families do not know of anything of that sort, and you hit it on the head because I think about dual enrollment. It wasn't around. I know it wasn't around when my mama was coming up in school. You know what I'm saying? So you know what I'm saying? That was a loss. That would even a thought, to have a something like that for a black child to have. Take some classes in college while they're in high school. So we have to do our job, man, to make sure that we continue to put this information out there for our families and kids, man. That's why we thought tonight would be, a great episode to have, because even though we're in February, it's still not too late for any of you all to have seniors who are coming out of high school and get things going, especially too if you have juniors, sophomores. I'm a stickler on going all the way back down to middle school, because if you start there, man, that speeds up this and get to take advantage of those things that you're talking about now. We're doing enrollment, and like you said, it gives them a leg up, prior to just waiting, like most of us probably had to. I had another question I want to ask, man, before we get ready to close, wrap it up. I think as there's so much more we can really dive in and talk, man. But when we think about college too, we know we touched on it earlier about debt and the pay and everything like that. So, what are some ways that you know of that our families can take advantage of paying for college?
Let's see. First thing I would say,
come to Trenton. We got you.
That's one way.
Go ahead and drop that nugget out there.
Come to Trenton.
That was nice, alley-oop.
Keep your grades up. Keep your grades up. There are scholarships available. Matter of fact, a lot of colleges, their first scholarship deadline was December 31st. So especially if you have a senior and you know that they're thinking about college or transferring, or make sure that you look into seeing what's available. You have financial aid, you have scholarships, you have fellowships. These are things that you need to research and find what's available, especially depending on your ACT score, what you're scoring on your ACT. There are colleges that will give you a full tuition, full ride if you keep those grades up and score. You're right, and score high with that ACT. You can walk through the door and walk out without paying a dime for the most part of it. So keep your grades up, research scholarships. I think the next deadline for a lot of colleges is March 31st, December 31st and March 31st. You kind of hitting the late on March 31st. But if you have a junior I've been out of high school so long. What is it? Freshman, sophomore, junior,
Mhm.
senior.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right.
If you have a junior, now is the time for you to start looking for scholarships and start getting everything together to see if your child can qualify for those scholarships. Now, yes, you have those student loans, but when you get to my age and you finally graduated and you have to start pay those student loans back, that's not a pretty picture. No one wants to look at those student loans when direct loans start sending sending that mail to let you know you got a payment that's coming up. So whatever you can do to save money, save it.
All right, so I got one last question for you. And you may have already kind of answered it, but if you could simplify it in regards to if you had 3 things to give parents and/or students to best prepare them for life after high school, what would it be?
So you
Your
said top 3 for parents
and/or students to
and/or students.
best prepare them for life after high school. What would it be?
For parents, I would say be aggressive about your students, your child education. Be aggressive. Get out there, get in the know, find out, especially if they've expressed interest in going to college. Get in the know. If you don't know, someone in the community know. Ask the questions until you get the answers that you want. For students, I would say find out what you believe you're called to do, though that area that you're passionate about, that you enjoy, and then understand that college may not be for everyone. Now, me personally, I would like to see you go to college. I would like to see you go to Trenton. But I understand that college may not be for everyone. But if you're saying college is not for you, that still means you need to find something that you can be a productive citizen and make good money. I have friends that did not go to college and they make good money. There are things out there, there's skills out there. You can go through programs. Matter of fact, I had to have some plumbing issues in December. That was $2,000 out of my pocket. So you just imagine they make good money as well. So just think about it.
Yeah.
All right, fellas, y'all got anything, man?
No, I mean, I can talk for days about this subject, man, because I know this is a part of our community that's been lacking when it comes to information, and it's a lot of information that would take time to hit every point of it, right? I just hope that the people out there that are watching, who watch later on, go back. If you miss something, rewind it back, man, and go back. If you got questions or more questions, post it in the group. You got Kenny's contact information. If you got a potential junior or senior or like you said, freshman or sophomore who's in that area or wants to look at going into Trenton, reach out. He's more than equipped to help you with that enrollment. As he said, look into those programs that you can participate in now as well for your kids. And I mean, as always, man, hey, we want the best for everyone out there. So that's all I have, Timor.
I say send it, man, for those that are watching, man. If you don't need this information now, maybe you will later. Maybe somebody that needs to hear this information. Send it to them because this is very useful information in our community, man. We need it bad. So let's send it out. And again, I agree, Mr. Ward. Like going to a school like Trenton, them first 2 years, man, is a life changer. As far as like when student loans hit, trust me, I got some myself. So I went and I still got them, but it's a lot easier on you, going through the ranks of life, not having to worry about all that debt on top of your head. So most definitely share and like this video, comment to somebody, and let them know about it.
My last little tidbits on it too, man. If there's anything you can take away from tonight, exposure is key, and it's never too early for that exposure. One thing with our black families, we think about life after high school. We don't think about it until we at the door with one foot out, ready to start life after high school. Now we try to put the pressures and everything, and you got to do this, you got to do that, and everything. It's never too early, man. So yeah, well, even you got kids now that's at that age when they got an idea of what life is going to look like for them. Like Kenny said, be aggressive with it. Put them exposure to the things, to people that are in the careers that may be interested in with the shadowing. That is so critical. When you get them actually face to face with these things now, they can see hands on for what it is. So, and again, we thank Kenny, man, for being on tonight. I think he has made Trentham extremely proud. So, the president and everybody that's out there, man, I don't know who's over, getting you a raise or whatnot, but we can send them a couple of emails. This nice little clean video, nothing too
Right.
and everything. Some positive black men up here talking about some stuff and pubbing Trentham left and right. Hey man, you winning on that, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it sound like a plan.
But Kenny, did you have any last words, man, before we sign out?
One last thing, and I can't get off without saying it, is I forgot to mention it a minute ago. Parents, if you hear your child come in, I keep saying student. You see how much I work with students. So if you hear your child come in and say something about the FAFSA, financial aid, work with them. I can't tell you how many students come into my office and be like, my mama said they're not getting my information. It's needed. It's to help them see what they can qualify for financial aid, so they don't have all these loans. So help them out. Nobody's going to take your information and go do something else with it. It's just to help them qualify for this financial assistance.
Man,
we got a lot to overcome.
Yeah.
He said something. We got
a lot to overcome, man. But dudes are the same way. Nobody put no stuff on the internet.
They might get my name or my phone.
Right.
Right. Social too?
Oh man, you said something there, dude. But yeah, man. So again, we thank you for coming on, man. Again, we thank everybody for the time that y'all have that you always dedicate to lock in an hour or so out your day to spend time with the fellas. And again, we brought something to the table, man, that can give you some nuggets to take advantage of this one life that you do have. And so like Kenny said, if you got any rising senior who's a junior, get them on the ball now and start looking for scholarship opportunities for next year. If you are a senior, still get out there and look and see. Not just for scholarships from the schools, different various organizations, fraternities, sororities, businesses, all those type of things, man. The money is out there, but we have to go get it. And so, again, man, we thank you for your time and opportunity. Anybody remember what Nico always say when he ready to close us out? Anybody remember? Don't worry about it. Okay.
I do my best impression.
let's go with it, man. Let's do it, Dave.
All I know is and as always, thank y'all for watching. I love you. He said, if nobody else love you, remember I do. Peace. Something like that. That's my best impression.
We're right with that. All right, appreciate you again, man. Thank you, Kenny.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right.